Maya Brooks stepped off the transport shuttle and onto the docking platform of Epsilon 7. The trading station floated in neutral space, a place where different species could meet and conduct business without starting wars. She carried a standard-issue pistol on her hip and wore the dark blue uniform of Earth's Special Operations Division. Her assignment was simple: escort a diplomat through the station and make sure nothing went wrong. The station was bigger than most Earth cities. Corridors stretched in every direction, filled with aliens from a dozen different worlds. Most ignored the human woman walking past them. 3 months had passed since humanity made first contact with the galactic community, and humans were still new enough to draw curious looks but nothing more. Maya found Captain Cole waiting near the central hub. He smiled when he saw her approach. "Right on time," said. "The diplomat is running late as usual. We have about an hour before the meeting starts." Maya nodded. She had worked with before. He was a good officer, maybe a bit too trusting, but reliable in a fight. 4 other human soldiers stood behind him, checking their equipment and talking quietly among themselves. "Any signs of trouble?" Maya asked. Shook his head. "Everything seems normal. Station security reported a few minor incidents yesterday, but nothing serious. Some drunk traders arguing over prices, that sort of thing." Maya's instincts told her something felt wrong. The station was too quiet. She had visited Epsilon 7 twice before, and it was usually louder, more crowded. Today, fewer people walked through the corridors. Several shops had their shutters closed. "When did the crowds thin out?" she asked. Looked around and frowned. "I hadn't noticed. Maybe there's some local holiday." Before Maya could respond, the lights flickered. Emergency panels along the walls flashed red for 3 seconds, then returned to normal. Its radio crackled with static. "Command, this is Cole. We just experienced a power fluctuation. Are you seeing anything on your end?" No response came through the radio. Tried again, still nothing. Maya's hand moved to her pistol. "Something is wrong." The lights went out completely. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing the corridor in dim red light. Maya heard screams in the distance, followed by the distinctive sound of energy weapons firing. The plasma blasts echoed through the metal corridors. "Get to cover," Maya shouted. And his team moved toward a side corridor, but they were too slow. A group of tall, heavily armored figures appeared at the far end of the hall. They stood over 7 feet tall, with dark skin and 4 arms. Each one carried advanced plasma rifles that hummed with deadly energy. Blue energy shields shimmered around their bodies. Maya recognized them immediately. She had read the briefing files about them. They were one of the most powerful military forces in the galaxy, known for their advanced technology and aggressive expansion policies. Earth diplomats had been negotiating with them for weeks, trying to establish peaceful relations. This was not a peaceful meeting. "Humans, surrender now," one of them said. His voice came through a translator device, making the words sound cold and mechanical. "Resist and die." Raised his hands slowly. "We're diplomats. We have clearance to be here." The commander stepped forward. His armor was darker than the others, marked with symbols that probably indicated rank. "You are prisoners now. Your weapons, put them down." Maya calculated the odds. 6 humans against 27, all with superior armor and weapons. The energy shields alone made them almost impossible to kill with standard firearms. Fighting now would be suicide. Set his rifle on the ground. His team followed his example. Maya pretended to comply, slowly reaching for her pistol. As she did, her eyes scanned the corridor, looking for escape routes. There, a ventilation grate in the wall, partially hidden behind a support column. They moved forward to collect the weapons. Maya waited until their attention focused on and his team. In that moment, she dove toward the column. Plasma bolts sizzled past her head, scorching the metal walls. She fired 3 shots at the ventilation grate, blowing it open, then threw herself inside. "Stop her," the commander roared. Maya crawled through the narrow shaft as fast as she could. More plasma fire lit up the space behind her, but they were too large to follow. She heard them shouting orders in their own language, coordinating a search. The ventilation system connected to every part of the station. Maya had studied the layout during the shuttle ride, a habit from her training. She knew where the shafts led and how to move through them without being detected. After crawling for 10 minutes, she reached a junction point where multiple shafts met. Maya stopped to catch her breath and listen. Through the metal walls, she heard the commander speaking. Broadcast to Earth, he said. Tell them we control Epsilon 7. Tell them we hold their soldiers. They will surrender their entire fleet or the prisoners die. They have 12 hours to comply. Maya's jaw tightened. This was not a random attack. They had planned this carefully, timing it to catch Earth forces off guard. They wanted to force a surrender without fighting a real war. She pulled out her personal communication device. It was designed for short-range contact only, but she modified the settings and boosted the signal. After several attempts, she made connection with Earth's nearest military outpost. "This is Lieutenant Commander Maya Brooks," she whispered. "Epsilon 7 is under control. Captain Cole and his team are prisoners. I am still free. Stall any negotiations. I repeat, stall negotiations. I need time." The response came back broken by static. "Understood. How many hostiles?" 27 that I've counted. Heavily armed. Energy shields. They're using the central cargo bay as a holding area for prisoners. Can you hold position until reinforcements arrive?" Maya looked at her pistol and the 2 small grenades on her belt. She had limited ammunition and no backup. A normal soldier would hide and wait for rescue. Maya was not a normal soldier. "Negative," she said. "I'm going to get our people out." She ended the transmission before they could argue. Through a nearby grate, she could see into the cargo bay, and 15 other humans sat on the floor, their hands bound behind their backs. Guards stood watch, their weapons ready. The commander walked among the prisoners. He stopped in front of and looked down at him with obvious contempt. "Your species is weak," the commander said. "You come from a soft world. You have no real weapons, no shields, no proper armor. You should never have been allowed into galactic space. When this is over, Earth will bow to rule. You will serve us or you will be eliminated." Said nothing. He kept his eyes forward, refusing to show fear. Maya watched from the shadows above. She studied the positions, counted their numbers, noted their patrol patterns. Every soldier carried the same equipment. Every shield generator had the same faint blue glow. They moved with military precision, but also with arrogance. They did not expect any real threat from the humans. That would be their mistake. She began moving through the ventilation system again, heading toward the station's maintenance sections. If she was going to fight an enemy with superior technology, she needed to understand their weaknesses first, and she needed to make them afraid. The commander had called humans weak. He had dismissed Earth as a soft world with primitive Maya moved through the maintenance tunnels like a ghost. They controlled the main corridors, but they had not bothered to secure the service passages that ran behind the walls. They probably thought these cramped spaces were beneath their attention. That arrogance would cost them. She reached a storage room filled with repair equipment and emergency supplies. Working quickly, she gathered everything useful: wire cutters, magnetic clamps, a welding torch, and several containers of industrial lubricant. None of it was designed as a weapon, but Maya had learned long ago that anything could be dangerous in the right hands. Through a wall panel, she heard 2 soldiers walking past. They spoke in their own language, but their translator devices made the words understandable. "This assignment is boring," one said. "The humans gave up without a real fight." "What did you expect?" the other replied. "Commander was right about them. Soft species from a soft world. They build stations and talk about peace because they cannot compete in real warfare." "I heard one escaped, a female." The first soldier laughed. "One human? What can she do? Our shields stop their primitive bullets. Our armor is stronger than anything they have. If she is smart, she will hide until this is over." They moved on, their heavy footsteps fading into the distance. Maya waited until silence returned, then she allowed herself a cold smile. Let them think she was hiding. Let them underestimate what one determined human could accomplish. She accessed a maintenance computer terminal and pulled up the station systems. They had locked down communications and main power, but they had not touched the environmental controls or the emergency systems. They did not see them as threats. Another mistake. Maya began making changes. She rerouted airflow to certain sections, increasing carbon dioxide levels just enough to make breathing uncomfortable. She adjusted the temperature in other areas, making them cold enough to affect the equipment. Their energy shields consumed a lot of power, and extreme temperatures made them work harder, draining their generators faster. Small changes, nothing obvious enough to alert them immediately, but each adjustment made their occupation slightly more difficult, slightly more exhausting. Next, she studied their patrol patterns. They moved in groups of 3, changing positions every 20 minutes. Professional and disciplined. But they followed the same routes repeatedly, making them predictable. Maya set up her first trap in a narrow corridor on Deck 7. She removed several floor panels and weakened the supports underneath. Then she spread the industrial lubricant across the remaining surface and replaced the panels carefully. It looked normal, but anyone walking across it would slip, and if they put too much weight in the wrong place, they would fall through into the machinery below. She moved to her next position and waited. 15 minutes later, 3 soldiers came marching down the corridor. They walked with the confidence of superior warriors, weapons ready but not expecting trouble. When they reached the trapped section, the first soldier's foot slipped on the lubricant. He stumbled forward, grabbing for balance. His weight hit the weakened panel and it gave way. The soldier fell through with a shout of surprise. His 2 companions rushed forward to help and stepped directly onto more compromised panels. All 3 went down into the machinery space below. Maya heard crashes and cursing in the language. She was already moving. By the time they climbed back out, bruised and angry but not seriously hurt, she was 2 decks away, setting up her next surprise. They began changing their patrols, moving more carefully, checking floors and walls before proceeding. Good. That meant they were starting to worry. Worried soldiers made more mistakes. Maya found a weapons locker that they had missed. It contained 2 more pistols and extra ammunition. Not much, but better than nothing. She also found a combat knife with a 7-inch blade. In the ventilation shaft above the cargo bay, she watched the prisoners again, sat with his back against a wall. A guard stood nearby, looking bored. Commander was not in sight, probably in the command center, coordinating with his superiors. Maya counted the guards, 8 in the cargo bay, watching over 23 human prisoners. The numbers had grown as they rounded up more station workers. She needed to even those numbers. Moving silently, she positioned herself above a lone guard near the entrance. He stood beneath a heavy support beam, checking his weapon. Maya secured a length of cable to the ventilation shaft, then dropped down behind him without a sound. The guard's energy shield protected him from frontal attacks, but Maya had noticed something during her observations. The shields projected outward from generators mounted on their chest armor. The coverage was weaker at the sides and back, especially near the neck where the armor had joints for movement. She drove her knife into the gap between his helmet and shoulder plate. The blade found flesh, and the guard dropped without making a sound. Maya caught his plasma rifle before it hit the floor and dragged his body into a storage closet. 1 down, 26 to go. She studied the rifle carefully. The weapon was heavier than human firearms, designed for the greater size and strength. But Maya had trained with alien technology before. The trigger mechanism was simple enough, and the power cell showed a full charge. More importantly, she now understood something crucial about the shields. She had seen the guard's shield flicker and fade when she killed him. The generators needed a living user to function properly. They were tied to the wearer's biological signals. And she had noticed something else. When the shield took an impact, it flashed bright blue for a moment, then dimmed slightly before returning to full strength. That dimming lasted for maybe 1 second, perhaps a bit more. A recharge delay. Maya smiled. Every technology had a weakness, you just had to look for it. She heard footsteps approaching, 2 guards coming to check on their missing companion. Maya moved back into the ventilation shaft and watched them arrive. "Where did he go?" one asked. "Checking the storage areas, maybe." They split up to search. Maya followed the first one through the shaft, staying above him. When he entered a side corridor, she dropped down again. This time she was ready with the plasma rifle. The first shot hit his shield dead center. The blue energy flared bright, absorbing the blast. But Maya had already counted to 1. She fired again before the shield fully recharged. The second shot punched through the weakened shield and hit the in the chest. He fell hard. The sound brought the second guard running. Maya was ready for him too. She fired at his feet, forcing him to dodge. When his shield flared from the near miss, she counted again and put the next shot through his helmet. 2 more down. Alarms started blaring throughout the station. They had found the bodies. Maya heard's voice over the station intercom, speaking in his own language first, then through the translator. "All units report to your stations. We have a hostile human conducting guerrilla operations. Hunt her down, kill on sight." Maya moved through the ventilation system, heading toward a new position. She had weapons now. She understood their shields, and she had their attention. The commander had made his first real mistake by dismissing humans as weak and primitive. Now he was making his second mistake. He was hunting her on a station she knew better than he did, with emotions clouding his tactical judgment. Maya had grown up on New Perth, one of Earth's harshest colony worlds. The planet had brutal weather, dangerous wildlife, and terrain that killed careless settlers. She had learned to hunt and survive before she learned to read. The military had taken those natural skills and refined them into something deadlier. She was not some frightened civilian hiding from superior forces. She was a predator who had just found prey that thought it was invincible. Through a wall grate, she saw speaking with his officers in the command center. The commander's voice carried anger and frustration. "One human," he said. "One human is making fools of us. Find her, bring me her body." Maya recorded his words using her communication device. Later, she would make sure he remembered them. For now, she had work to do. She planted small explosive charges at structural weak points throughout 3 different decks. Not enough to cause serious damage, but enough to control where they could move. When detonated in sequence, the explosions would funnel them into specific corridors where she could engage them on her terms. Night cycle approached on the station. They did not seem affected by darkness. Their helmets probably had vision enhancement. But Maya preferred fighting in the dark. It was where she did her best work. She checked her ammunition. The plasma rifle had enough charge for maybe 15 more shots. Her pistols were fully loaded. The knife was clean and sharp. 23 remained. They were searching for her now, moving in larger groups, being more careful. They had stopped underestimating the threat she represented. But they still did not understand what they were facing. They thought this was about weapons and technology. They thought superior equipment would win the fight. Maya knew better. Wars were not won by the side with better guns. They were won by the side that refused to quit, that adapted faster, that wanted victory more than they feared death. They were about to learn that lesson the hard way. Maya made her decision in the darkness of the ventilation shaft. She had spent hours picking off isolated guards, learning their patterns, understanding their technology. She had reduced their numbers from 27 to 23. But this approach was too slow. The prisoners were running out of time. Commander had given Earth 12 hours to surrender. 8 hours had already passed. If she wanted to save and the others, she needed to change tactics. She needed to be bold. She needed to make angry enough to make a mistake. Maya climbed down from the shaft and walked calmly into the main corridor leading to the cargo bay. She kept her hands visible, her plasma rifle slung across her back, her pistol holstered at her hip. 2 grenades hung from her belt within easy reach. A patrol spotted her immediately. 4 soldiers raised their weapons and moved to surround her. "Stop," one commanded. "Do not move." Maya stopped walking. She raised her hands slowly, making no threatening movements. More appeared from side corridors, cutting off any escape route. Within seconds, 10 armed soldiers had her surrounded. "I want to speak with your commander," Maya said calmly. "I am willing to negotiate." The soldiers looked at each other, confused. One spoke into his communicator in the language. A moment later, his voice came through. "Bring her to the cargo bay. Keep weapons on her at all times. If she moves wrong, kill her." They marched her through the corridors. Maya walked steadily, her hands still raised, her expression calm. She counted the soldiers around her, studied their positions, noted which ones seemed nervous and which ones seemed confident. The cargo bay doors opened. Inside, and the other prisoners looked up in shock. His face showed horror when he saw her. "Maya, what are you doing?" he said. She did not answer. Her attention focused on Commander, who stood at the center of the bay. He was even larger up close, nearly 8 feet tall, with armor that looked like it could stop a tank shell. His 4 arms ended in clawed hands, and his dark face held an expression of cruel satisfaction. The human pest said, "You killed 4 of my soldiers, impressive for such a primitive creature, but now you surrender, why?" "I am willing to discuss terms," Maya said. "Let the prisoners go, and I will tell you how I killed your soldiers. I will give you information about human tactics and defenses." Laughed, it was a harsh, grating sound. "You think you have anything to bargain with? You are surrounded. Your weapons are useless against our shields. You are one human against my entire force." "Then you have nothing to lose by hearing my offer," Maya said. stepped closer. His guards tensed, ready to fire if she made any sudden movement. The commander looked her up and down, studying her like a scientist examining an insect. "You are smaller than the male humans," he said. "Weaker, yet you caused more damage than their soldiers. How did you do this?" "Let me keep my weapons and I will tell you," Maya said. His eyes narrowed. "You must think me a fool. You will be disarmed. Then you will tell me everything, or you will watch me kill your companions one by one until you cooperate." He gestured to his soldiers. "Take her weapons, be careful, she is cunning." 4 soldiers approached Maya from different angles. Their shields glowed bright blue, fully charged and ready. They kept their rifles pointed at her center mass. One reached for her plasma rifle while another moved for her pistol. Maya smiled. It was not a friendly expression. It was the smile of someone who had just seen their enemy walk into a trap. "That was your fatal error," she said quietly. The words confused for just a second. That second was all Maya needed. She triggered the detonator hidden in her palm. Throughout the cargo bay, small explosive charges she had planted hours earlier went off simultaneously. They were not strong enough to hurt anyone, but they were perfectly placed to destroy the power conduits running through the walls. The lights died instantly. Emergency lighting tried to activate but failed, the backup system sabotaged. The cargo bay plunged into complete darkness. The soldiers shouted in confusion. Their shields glowed bright blue, making them easy targets in the blackness. Maya's visor, a piece of equipment she had kept hidden beneath her collar, dropped down over her eyes. It switched to thermal imaging mode, showing her every heat signature in the bay. The soldier reaching for her rifle was still too close, inside her personal space, exactly where she wanted him. Maya grabbed his arm and pulled him off balance, using his own momentum against him. At the same time, her other hand drew her knife and drove it into the gap in his armor at the neck. The shield could not protect what it could not sense fast enough. He fell. Maya caught his rifle and rolled away from her previous position. Plasma bolts scorched the air where she had been standing. They were firing blind, their shots going everywhere. But Maya could see perfectly. She aimed carefully and fired at the nearest shield. The blue energy flared bright. She counted 1, 2. On 3, she fired again. The shield had not fully recharged. Her shot went through and hit the soldier's leg. He went down screaming. The others started backing away, trying to regroup. They activated helmet lights, flooding the area with illumination. Maya had expected this. She fired at the lights themselves, shattering them with precise shots. More darkness, more confusion. Maya moved like water, flowing from position to position. She used the cargo containers as cover, firing from different angles. Each time a shield flared, she counted the seconds and exploited the recharge delay. The plasma rifle worked better than she expected, its power devastating when it connected. Roared orders in his language. His soldiers tried to form a defensive line, but they could not coordinate in the darkness. They could not predict where Maya would strike next. She dropped the empty plasma rifle and drew her pistol. A soldier appeared around a container, his shield at full strength. Maya fired 3 rapid shots at his feet. The impacts made him stumble backward. While his shield recharged, she put 2 bullets through his helmet visor. Another soldier fired at her muzzle flash. The plasma bolt missed by inches, the heat singing her hair. Maya threw one of her grenades at his position. The explosion knocked him off his feet and shorted out his shield generator. She finished him with her pistol. 7 soldiers down in less than 2 minutes. His voice cut through the chaos. Maya heads up. She turned and saw, and 2 other freed prisoners engaged in hand-to-hand combat with a guard. Must have grabbed a knife from one of the fallen soldiers and cut his bonds. Maya fired twice, dropping the guard before he could hurt anyone. "Get the others free," she shouted to. "Arm them with anything you can find." Worked quickly, cutting the restraints on the nearest prisoners. They scattered to find cover as plasma bolts continued to fill the air. Maya focused on. The commander had fallen back to a defensive position behind a large cargo container. 5 soldiers remained with him, their shields glowing bright as they formed a protective wall. "Impossible," his voice carried over the sound of weapons fire. "You are one human cannot defeat warriors." Maya reloaded her pistol calmly. "You made 2 mistakes, Commander. First, you thought taking my weapons would make me helpless, but humans are the weapons, everything else is just tools." She moved to a new position, forcing them to adjust their aim. Your second mistake was bringing your soldiers close to disarm me. You gave me targets in my kill zone. You let me dictate the terms of engagement. Maya fired at a soldier's shield, then counted and fired again. He went down, 4 guards left. Humans do not fight fair, Commander. We fight to win. We use every advantage, every weakness, every moment you hesitate. Your technology is impressive, but it cannot replace tactics. It cannot replace the will to survive. And 6 freed humans had armed themselves with fallen weapons. They provided covering fire, forcing the remaining guards to split their attention. Realized his position was collapsing. He grabbed his communicator and shouted for reinforcements. Maya had expected this too. She had planted charges throughout the corridors leading to the cargo bay. She triggered them now. Explosions echoed through the station. Not strong enough to kill, but perfectly placed to block the routes reinforcements would take. They would have to go around, through maintenance tunnels and secondary passages. That would take time. Time Maya would use to finish this. She holstered her pistol and picked up another plasma rifle from a dead. The weapon felt heavy in her hands, but she had learned how to use it. She aimed carefully at the cargo container hid behind. Plasma rifles had one advantage over human weapons. They could cut through almost anything. Maya held the trigger down, pouring energy into the metal container. It began to glow red, then white. The metal melted and sagged, and his remaining guards had to abandon their cover or be cooked alive. They ran. Maya and the freed humans were ready. A coordinated attack from multiple angles overwhelmed the last 4 guards. They fell one by one. Only remained. The commander stood alone in the center of the cargo bay. His shield glowed at maximum power. His weapon pointed at Maya, but his hand shook slightly. For the first time, fear showed in his eyes. "You were right about one thing," Maya said, walking toward him slowly. Her rifle aimed steady at his center mass. "I am from a soft world. Earth has blue skies and green forests. We have peace and plenty. But do you know why our world is soft, Commander?" She fired at his shield. It flared bright, she counted. "Earth is soft because humans made it that way. We tamed a world that tried to kill us at every turn. We faced ice ages and predators and diseases that should have wiped us out. We survived all of it." She fired again. The shield took the hit but flickered. "We are not soft because we are weak. We are soft because we are strong enough to choose peace. But when you threaten what we protect, when you hurt our people, you remind us what we really are." One more shot. The shield failed, stood defenseless, his weapon dropping from his hands. "We are survivors, Commander, and survivors do not quit until the threat is gone." Maya kept her rifle pointed at him, her finger on the trigger. Behind her, and the freed prisoners moved to secure the cargo bay. In the distance, she could hear reinforcements trying to find ways through the blocked corridors. Stared at Maya with an expression mixing disbelief and fury. His 4 arms hung at his sides, his shield generator dead, his weapon on the floor. Around him, his soldiers lay scattered across the cargo bay, defeated by what should have been an inferior force. "You think you have won?" he said, his translator making his voice sound harsh. "My reinforcements are coming. 12 soldiers still remain. You cannot defeat them all." Maya picked up his weapon and tossed it too. "Your reinforcements are trapped in corridors I control. Every path to this bay is blocked. They will take at least 15 minutes to reach us. In that time, we are going to secure this station." She pressed her rifle barrel against his chest. "You are going to call them, tell them to stand down and surrender their weapons. If you refuse, I will leave you here and hunt them down one by one. Your choice." The commander's eyes narrowed. "You would not kill a defenseless prisoner. You humans value mercy too much. It makes you weak." Laughed bitterly. "You really do not understand us at all. Maya is offering you mercy because it serves her purpose. If it did not, you would already be dead." Maya's expression remained cold and calm. "I grew up on New Perth, Commander. When I was 12 years old, I tracked a razorback cat for 3 days through mountain terrain after it killed my younger brother. The cat was bigger, faster, and stronger than me. It had claws that could cut through body armor." She moved the rifle closer to his face. "I killed it anyway. I used traps, poison, fire, and finally a knife when it was too weak to fight back. I did not feel mercy. I felt satisfaction. The only reason you are alive is because you are worth more to me breathing than dead. Do not test that calculation." Searched her eyes and saw the truth there. This human had killed before. She would kill again without hesitation if needed. The mercy she offered was tactical, not emotional. He reached slowly for his communicator. Maya allowed it but kept her weapon ready. "All units," said in his language, then repeated it through the translator. "This is Commander, cease hostile operations. Surrender your weapons to the human forces. This is a direct order." Static filled the line. Then a voice responded, speaking. Maya could not understand the words, but she understood the tone. Confusion, disbelief, possibly anger. Spoke again, his voice firmer. "The primary force has been neutralized. Further resistance is pointless. Comply with my order." A long silence followed. Then the voice responded again, this time in translated speech. "Understood, Commander. We are laying down weapons." Maya nodded to, "Take 3 people and go secure them. Be careful. If they try anything, fall back and let me know." Gathered volunteers and moved out. Maya kept her attention on. The commander stood perfectly still, but his mind was clearly working. He was trying to understand how his superior force had been defeated so completely. "You studied us," he said finally. "You watched us before attacking. You learned our weapons, our shields, our patterns." "Of course," Maya said. "That is basic tactics. Know your enemy better than they know themselves." "We did not study you," admitted. "We read reports that said humans were from a low-gravity world with soft environment. We saw your primitive kinetic weapons and assumed you were not a serious threat. We believed our technology made us superior." Maya allowed herself a slight smile. "Technology is just tools, Commander. A fool with advanced weapons is still a fool. A smart fighter with primitive weapons is still dangerous." She gestured around the cargo bay at the fallen soldiers. "Your shields are impressive, but they have a recharge delay of 1.3 seconds after taking a hit. Your armor is strong, but it has gaps at the joints. Your weapons are powerful, but they overheat after sustained fire. Your helmet sensors are vulnerable to precise impacts." His expression darkened. "You learned all this in just a few hours." "I learned it in the first 30 minutes. The rest of the time, I was using that knowledge to kill your soldiers." Maya's voice held no emotion. She was simply stating facts. "You made this easy by being predictable. You followed the same patrol routes. You responded to threats the same way every time. You never adapted." The commander's clawed hands clenched into fists. "We are warriors. We have conquered 17 worlds. We have defeated species more advanced than yours." "Then those species did not fight hard enough," Maya said. "Or maybe they fought the way you expected them to fight. Stand-up battles, fleet against fleet, technology against technology. That is not how humans fight when we are desperate." She lowered her rifle slightly but kept it ready. "When you are stronger than us, we do not meet you in open battle. We hide, we adapt, we strike where you are weak. We turn your strengths into weaknesses. We make you fight on our terms, not yours." His voice came through Maya's communicator. "We have secured the remaining. They surrendered without resistance. No casualties on our side." "Good," Maya replied. "Bring them to the cargo bay, keep them under guard." She looked at again. "Your soldiers are probably wondering what happened. They are probably thinking their commander made mistakes, showed poor judgment. They are right. You did." "What mistakes?" demanded. "We captured the station, we took hostages, we delivered our demands to Earth." Maya began counting on her fingers. "First mistake, you assumed inferior technology meant inferior capability. Second mistake, you did not properly secure the entire station. Third mistake, you followed predictable patterns. Fourth mistake, you split your forces to search for me instead of consolidating around your objective." She held up a fifth finger. "But your biggest mistake was the order to disarm me." His face showed confusion. "How was that a mistake? We needed to remove your weapons before questioning you." "You needed to keep me at distance," Maya corrected. "By ordering your soldiers to disarm me, you brought 4 armed warriors into my immediate reach. You gave me targets I could attack before their shields recharged. You put them in a position where I could control the engagement." She stepped closer to him. "Worse than that, you proved something to your soldiers. You proved that removing my weapons did not make me helpless. You proved that humans do not need guns to be dangerous. You destroyed their confidence in their own superiority." Returned with the 12 remaining soldiers. They looked defeated and confused. Several had minor injuries from the explosions Maya had used to block the corridors. They stared at their commander, standing disarmed and surrounded by humans who should have been easy prey. Maya addressed her voice carrying through the cargo bay. Your empire sent you here believing humans were weak. You were told we could not fight back effectively. You were told your technology made victory certain. She walked along the line of prisoners, making eye contact with each one. How many of your soldiers did I kill? How many did I wound? How did one human with inferior weapons defeat your entire force? None of them answered. They did not need to. The evidence surrounded them. I want you to remember this moment, Maya continued. I want you to remember what happened when you underestimated humanity. When you go back to your empire, you will tell this story. You will tell them that technology is not enough. You will tell them that humans are not weak. She stopped in front of again. Earth does not want war with the Empire. We prefer peace. But if you force war upon us, we will fight. And we will not fight the way you expect. Met her gaze, something had changed in his expression. The arrogance was gone, replaced by grudging respect and something that might have been fear. What happens now? He asked. Now we wait, Maya said. The Earth fleet is on its way. They used the time I bought them to position forces in this sector. You will be handed over to proper authorities. There will be negotiations between our governments. She allowed her voice to soften slightly. If your leaders are smart, they will listen to what you tell them. They will understand that humanity is not an easy target. They will choose diplomacy over conquest. And if they do not? Asked. Maya's expression hardened again. Then they will learn the same lesson you learned today. Humans protect what is ours. We do not surrender. We do not give up. And we fight with everything we have until the threat is eliminated or we are dead. She turned away from him and spoke into her communicator. All sections report status. Responses came back one by one. The human prisoners were all accounted for and safe. They were secured. Station systems were coming back online. No additional threats detected. Maya allowed herself to relax for the first time in hours. The immediate danger had passed. But she knew this was just the beginning. Word of what happened here would spread through the galaxy. Some species would see it as proof that humans were dangerous. Others would see it as proof that humans could be respected as equals. Either way, Earth's position in the galactic community had changed forever. Approached her carrying her original pistol that she had dropped during the fight. You did good, Maya. Better than good. You saved all of us. I did what needed to be done, she said quietly. Nothing more. You think they will actually listen? Will they leave Earth alone? Maya looked at the defeated alien soldiers sitting under guard. Some of them will listen. Some will want revenge. But they will all think twice before attacking humans again. That is the best we can hope for. She holstered her pistol and picked up her rifle again. Now we wait for the fleet and make sure these prisoners do not try anything stupid. Stay alert. This is not over until they are off this station. Nodded and moved to organize the guard rotation. Maya found a spot where she could watch the entire cargo bay and sat down. Her body ached from the fighting. Her hands shook slightly from adrenaline crash, but she kept her weapon ready and her eyes open. Watched her from across the bay. The human woman who had defeated him sat alone, looking small and tired, but he would never make the mistake of thinking her weak again. He thought about his briefing before this mission. The reports that described Earth as a minor world with primitive the Earth fleet arrived 6 hours later. 3 destroyers and a carrier dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system, weapons ready but not firing. They had received Maya's reports and knew the situation was under control, but they took no chances. Maya stood in the cargo bay watching the prisoners as the fleet docked with Epsilon 7, had organized the freed humans into proper guard rotations, and station security had been restored. The crisis was over, but Maya felt no sense of celebration. She felt only exhaustion and the knowledge that this was just the beginning of something much larger. Commander sat against a wall, his hands bound with magnetic restraints that even his strength could not break. He had been quiet for hours, but now he spoke. Your fleet arrived very quickly, he said. Too quickly for a random response. You planned this. Maya looked at him. We planned for the possibility. After your empire made contact with Earth, our military studied every interaction. We noticed patterns. Your empire tests new species, probes for weakness. We prepared for various scenarios. But you were alone on this station, said. How did you know we would attack here? I did not know, Maya admitted. But Earth has special operations officers on every major station and outpost in neutral space. If you attacked anywhere, someone would be ready to respond. She allowed a slight smile. You just got unlucky that it was me. The cargo bay doors opened and Admiral walked in, flanked by armed Marines. He was a tall man with hair and stern features. His eyes scanned the scene quickly, taking in the bound soldiers and the freed human prisoners. Lieutenant Commander Brooks, he said formally, report. Maya stood and saluted. Sir, forces seized control of Epsilon 7 at 800 hours station time, 27 hostile combatants. They took 23 human prisoners and demanded Earth's fleet surrender. I evaded capture and conducted guerrilla operations. Enemy force reduced to 15 combatants before they surrendered. All prisoners recovered safely. No human casualties. His expression showed no emotion, but his eyes held approval. Outstanding work, Commander. I will want a full debrief, but that can wait until you have had medical attention and rest. I am fine, sir. That was not a request, said firmly. He turned to Captain Cole, you have tactical command until Commander Brooks is cleared for duty. Secure all prisoners and begin restoring normal station operations. Saluted, yes, sir. Looked at, I am Admiral, Commander of Earth's Third Fleet. You attempted to take hostages and force a political surrender through terrorism. Under galactic law and the agreements your empire signed, this is an act of war. Met his gaze without fear. I followed orders from my superiors. I am a soldier, not a politician. A soldier who learned an important lesson today, said. The question is whether your empire will learn the same lesson, or whether this incident will escalate into a larger conflict. That is not my decision to make, replied. Nodded slowly. No, it is not, but it is my decision what happens to you and your soldiers. Under normal circumstances, you would be tried for war crimes. However, Commander Brooks has made a different suggestion. Maya stepped forward. Sir, I recommend we return Commander and his soldiers to the Empire with full documentation of what occurred here. Let them carry the message themselves. Looked at her with surprise. You would release us. I would send you home with proof of what happened, Maya said. Battle recordings from security cameras, testimony from witnesses, medical records of your wounded, everything your empire needs to understand the reality of fighting humans. Considered this, it is a risk they could see it as weakness. Or they could see it as strength, Maya countered. We captured their forces. We could execute them or hold them as prisoners. Instead, we show mercy and trust them to carry an honest account back to their people. That sends a powerful message about human character. The Admiral thought for a long moment, then nodded. Very well, we will proceed with your recommendation, but I want every piece of evidence documented and transmitted to Earth Command first. If this goes badly, I want our government to have the complete record. He turned to his Marines. Prepare the prisoners for transport. They will be returned to space under guard. Any attempt to escape or resist will be met with lethal force. The Marines moved to gather the soldiers. Maya watched as he stood and allowed himself to be escorted out. At the door, he paused and looked back at her. I do not understand you, he said. You defeated us completely. You could demand anything, yet you choose to release us. Why? Maya walked closer to him. Because this is not about revenge, Commander. This is about preventing future conflicts. If you go home and tell your empire the truth about what happened here, maybe they will think twice before attacking humans again. Maybe they will choose negotiation over aggression. And if they do not, asked, if they see this as weakness and attack with greater force, then we will fight, Maya said simply. And we will win, because you made one critical error in your assessment of humanity. You thought our preference for peace meant we were not capable of war. You were wrong. She held his gaze steadily. Humans have fought wars for thousands of years. We have killed each other with everything from rocks and sticks to weapons that could destroy entire cities. We know war intimately. We know its cost, its horror, its waste. That is why we choose peace when possible. Maya's voice grew harder. But when peace is not possible, when our people are threatened, we remember everything our history taught us. We become what we need to be to survive. You saw a small demonstration of that today. Do not make the mistake of thinking it was our full capability. Was silent for a moment. Then he bowed his head slightly, a gesture of respect in culture. I will deliver your message, Commander Brooks. I will tell my people exactly what I witnessed here. That is all I ask, Maya said. The Marines led and the other prisoners away. Maya watched them go, then turned to find Admiral studying her. You took a significant risk engaging them alone, he said. A lesser officer would have hidden and waited for rescue. I considered that option, sir, Maya said. But the hostages did not have time for me to wait, and I calculated that I had a reasonable chance of success. Almost smiled. Reasonable? You were outnumbered 27-1, they had superior technology, and you had limited ammunition. Most people would call that suicide, not reasonable. Most people are not from New Perth, sir, Maya said. We learn early that superior numbers and equipment do not guarantee victory. Determination and smart tactics often matter more. Indeed, pulled out a data pad. Your actions here today will have significant consequences. Earth government is already preparing statements. The galactic media is requesting interviews. You are going to become very famous, Commander. Maya grimaced. I would prefer to avoid that, sir. Unfortunately, that is not an option. What you did here will shape humanity's reputation in galactic politics. Every species will be analyzing your tactics, studying your decisions, assessing what this means about human military capability. He paused, then continued. There is another consequence you should be aware of. The Empire has already responded to our initial report. They claim Commander acted without authorization. They are offering formal apologies and reparations. Maya raised an eyebrow. That seems too convenient. Do you believe them? I think they are trying to avoid a war they suddenly realize they might not win, said bluntly. Your performance here terrified them. One human operator defeating a full combat team, that is not what their intelligence reports led them to expect. Good, Maya said. Fear can prevent conflicts as effectively as friendship, sometimes more reliably. Looked at her thoughtfully. You have an interesting perspective on warfare, Commander. Most officers your age still believe in ideals like honor and glory. I grew up hunting predators that could tear me apart if I made a single mistake, sir. I learned to respect threats but not to romanticize violence. War is a tool, nothing more. Sometimes a necessary tool, but never something to celebrate. That is wisdom that took me 20 years to learn, said. You figured it out much younger. He put away his data pad. Go get medical clearance and rest. We will handle the political aftermath. You have done your part. Maya saluted and left the cargo bay. In the medical section, a doctor examined her injuries and declared her fit for duty despite some bruising and minor burns from near-miss plasma fire. Then she found temporary quarters and collapsed on the bed. For the first time in 18 hours, she allowed herself to close her eyes and relax. 3 days later, Maya stood in a conference room watching a video feed from space. Commander had been returned to his government and was now addressing their high command. They had agreed to allow Earth observers to witness the debrief, another sign that they wanted to avoid further conflict. Spoke calmly and clearly, describing everything that happened on Epsilon 7. He did not exaggerate or minimize. He simply told the truth. When he finished, the room of military leaders sat in shocked silence. One of them finally spoke, the translator rendering his words in flat English. You are telling us that one human defeated 27 of our soldiers. Yes, said. She studied our tactics, identified our weaknesses, and exploited them with remarkable efficiency. Our technological advantage meant nothing because she refused to fight on our terms. This is unacceptable, another leader said. We are warriors, we do not lose to primitive species. We lost, said firmly. And we will lose again if we continue to underestimate humans. They are not primitive. They are dangerous in ways our intelligence completely failed to recognize. The leader who had spoken before stood up angrily. Then we attack Earth with overwhelming force. We teach them the price of defying the Empire. No, said an older at the head of the table. He wore more elaborate armor than the others, marking him as someone of high rank. That is exactly the wrong response. Did you not listen to Commander's report? The human commander released our soldiers and sent them home with evidence of the battle. She could have executed them. She could have used them as hostages. Instead, she showed mercy and trust. He looked around the table. She sent us a message. Humans can fight and win, but they prefer peace. They are offering us a choice. We can continue this path of aggression and face a war that will cost us dearly, or we can approach them as equals and negotiate in good faith. You want us to negotiate with them as equals, the angry leader demanded. They are newcomers to galactic space. They have no right to demand respect. They earned respect, the elder said coldly. Commander's testimony proves that, so do the battle recordings, so does the fact that one human operator defeated our best soldiers. He stood up slowly, his forearms gesturing for emphasis. I am ordering a full review of our assessment protocols. We clearly failed to properly evaluate human capability. Until that review is complete, there will be no military actions against Earth or human interests. We will pursue diplomatic solutions. The angry leader started to object, but the elder cut him off. My decision is final. We do not start wars we cannot be certain of winning. Commander has shown us that fighting humans is far more dangerous than we believed. We will adapt our strategy accordingly. The video feed ended. Maya turned away from the screen and found Admiral watching her. Congratulations, Commander, he said. You just prevented a war. For now, Maya said. There will always be people like that angry leader looking for excuses to fight. This bought us time, nothing more. Time is valuable, said. Time allows for diplomacy, for building relationships, for finding common ground. What you did at Epsilon 7 gave humanity that time. He handed her a data pad. Earth government has authorized commendations. You are being promoted to full commander and awarded the Star of Valor. There will be a ceremony when you return home. Maya looked at the pad but felt no particular pride. She had done what needed to be done. The medals and promotions were just politics. There is something else, continued. The galactic media has been covering this story extensively. Do you know what they are calling it? Maya shook her head. The disarming, said with a slight smile. Specifically, they talk about the moment when ordered his soldiers to disarm you. That order has become famous across known space. It represents the exact moment when arrogance turned into defeat. A bit dramatic, Maya said. Perhaps, but effective. Young officers are now being taught about that moment in their training. It has become a cautionary tale about the dangers of underestimating an enemy. The phrase, disarm the human, is apparently used in their military academies as an example of catastrophic tactical error. Maya considered this. So they are learning from their mistakes. That is good. It means future confrontations might be avoided. That is the hope, agreed. Of course, other species are learning different lessons. Some see humans as potential allies. Others see us as threats to be carefully managed. The galaxy's view of humanity changed significantly in the past few days. All because of one battle on a trading station, Maya said quietly. One battle can change everything, said. History is full of examples. Now Earth has its own example to share. The day one human operator defeated superior forces and changed the course of galactic politics. Maya looked out the window at the stars beyond. Somewhere out there, other species were watching Earth, making calculations, deciding how to respond to humanity's presence in their galaxy. She thought about, and the lesson he had learned. She thought about the Empire reconsidering its approach to humans. She thought about all the future conflicts that might be prevented because one arrogant commander made a fatal error. That was your fatal error, she had told him. Those words were spreading across the galaxy now, carrying a message about human capability and human mercy, about the dangers of underestimation and the value of choosing peace. Maya did not know if that message would be enough to prevent future wars, but it was a start, and sometimes a start was all you needed. She turned back to Admiral. When do we ship out, sir? Tomorrow morning. Earth wants you home for the ceremony and debrief. After that, you have 3 weeks leave. I would prefer to skip the ceremony and return to duty, sir. Smiled. Unfortunately, this is not about what you prefer, Commander. This is about what Earth needs. Right now, Earth needs a hero to show the galaxy. You are that hero. Maya sighed but did not argue. She had learned when to fight and when to accept the inevitable. As she left the conference room, she allowed herself one last thought about Commander and his defeated soldiers. She hoped they would tell their story honestly. She hoped the Empire would learn the right lessons. But if they did not, if they came back looking for revenge, Maya and every other human warrior would be ready. Because that was what humans did. They hoped for peace but prepared for war. They offered mercy but remembered how to fight. They chose kindness when possible but never forgot how to be dangerous. Had learned that lesson the hard way. The rest of the galaxy was learning it now. And the message was clear. Underestimate humanity at your own risk. Because when you make the fatal error of dismissing humans as weak, you discover too late that you have awakened something fierce, determined, and absolutely unwilling to surrender. That was humanity's gift to the galaxy. Not superior technology or overwhelming force, but the simple truth that some species could not be conquered, could not be intimidated, could not be broken. And Earth was one of those species. Ology, the assessments that rated human combat capability as below average. The confident predictions of easy victory. All of those reports had been catastrophically wrong, and would make sure the Empire knew it. Looked at the human woman who had defeated his entire force. He saw no mercy in her eyes, but he saw no cruelty either, just cold determination and absolute will. "You will kill me now?" he asked. Maya lowered her rifle slightly. "No, you are going to help me save the rest of my people. Then you are going to carry a message back to your empire. You are going to tell them exactly what happened here today." She smiled grimly. "You are going to tell them what one human can do when you make the mistake of underestimating us." Maya smiled grimly in the darkness. She would teach him the difference between weapons and warriors. She would show him what happened when you underestimated a human who had nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. The hunt was about to begin,